Good morning to you all. So students, we will proceed with the previous chapter, that is life processes. In the last chapter we studied or we discussed about transportation. Now about the structure of heart, I explained you in the last class only that a heart consists of 4 chambers and the right side of the heart contains deoxygenated blood and the left side of the heart contains oxygenated blood. So there are 2 upper chambers called auricles and the lower chambers are called as the ventricles. Now what happens? There are 2 blood vessels which brings the deoxygenated blood from the body. One blood vessel brings the deoxygenated blood from the lower side of the body and one brings from the upper side of the body, that is brain or other places. And the blood that is poured in the right auricle. The right auricle contracts. Okay, after the right auricle contracts, what happens? It pressurizes the blood, and this blood presses the valve which is present at the juncture of auricle and ventricle. So when the blood presses the valve, because definitely when the blood is under pressure, it will open, means it will apply force on the valve and the valve will be opened, and then the blood will move in the right ventricle. Right ventricle will contract, and at that time auricle is relaxing because whole of the blood now is passed into the ventricle and ventricle is relaxing. Okay, now when the ventricles contract, it pushes, it force the blood in the ventricle, it comes under pressure, and this blood, deoxygenated blood, it moves in the pulmonary artery, and then that pulmonary artery goes in the respective lungs. Just near the lungs, the pulmonary artery breaks into capillaries. Pulmonary artery divides into fine blood vessels which are called as capillaries. I told you before also, children, arteries. Okay, arteries carries oxygenated blood and these arteries break into capillaries. Whenever there is exchange of gases has to take place, the arteries, they go near the cell and they break into fine blood vessels called as capillaries. Then the exchange of gases takes place. The carbon dioxide moves in the blood and the blood becomes deoxygenated. Then again these capillaries, they join to form veins, and veins contains deoxygenated blood. So arteries divide to form capillaries and capillaries join to form veins. So same thing happens here. The pulmonary artery, it divides into 2. One artery goes to the one lung and another goes to the another lung. Near the lung, it breaks into very, very fine blood vessels which are called as capillaries, and these capillaries contains deoxygenated blood. And you have studied in the last portion in respiration, in respiratory system, that bronchioles, at the end of the bronchioles are present alveoli, and the exchange of gases takes between the alveoli and the blood capillaries. Now the same way the pulmonary artery breaks into capillaries, and these capillaries form a network around alveoli. I hope you all have understood till here. Okay, network like a spider web, they form a network around the alveoli. And what forms a network? Capillaries. This capillaries contains deoxygenated blood. Now what happens? Actually the pulmonary artery carries the blood to the lungs for oxygenation of blood. So now what happens? You have studied in the last portion that the air present in the alveoli contains more oxygen and it contains less carbon dioxide, whereas the deoxygenated blood which is present in the capillaries, it will contain more carbon dioxide and less oxygen. What will happen? There is a difference in the concentration gradient of 2 gases. So the oxygen is more in the air present in the lungs compared to the blood. So you have studied diffusion, that is the movement of the substances from the region of the higher concentration to the region of the lower concentration. So since the amount of oxygen present in the air in the lungs is more, the oxygen from the air present in the lungs will move to the blood, which is present in the capillaries. Now, you don't ask any question also. Actually, how it passes through the by the process of diffusion through the walls, because the walls are very, very thin. So, oxygen will go to the blood present in the capillaries. Now, where oxygen will go? Oxygen, red blood cells are there. Red blood cells has one pigment called as hemoglobin. Hemoglobin has got strong attraction towards or great affinity for oxygen. So oxygen and hemoglobin, they combine, okay, and then they form a compound oxyhemoglobin. So you can also say that the oxygen is carried by the hemoglobin. Now, carbon dioxide in the blood is more. Carbon dioxide in the blood, which is present in the capillaries, is more compared to the air, because outside air contains only 0.03% of carbon dioxide. So the carbon dioxide, and it's a deoxygenated blood. Deoxygenated blood means more carbon dioxide, less oxygen. So since it's a deoxygenated blood, the amount of carbon dioxide is more as compared to the carbon dioxide present in the air. So this carbon dioxide, which is present in the blood, in the capillaries, move from the blood to the air present in the lungs. So now the blood in the capillaries becomes oxygenated because it has oxygen more than of carbon dioxide. So this oxygenated blood is present in the capillaries. Now children, so many capillaries cannot go to the heart. Actually, then what to do? What did I say you before? If you remember, arteries break into capillaries. Here you saw pulmonary artery. It divided into many capillaries. Exchange of gases takes place. Now these capillaries will join to form veins. Now in these capillaries, what is present? Oxygenated blood. Actually, this is an exception that takes place here. Otherwise, what happens? The arteries contains oxygenated blood. In general, arteries contains oxygenated blood. It divides into capillaries. In the capillaries comes the oxygenated blood. Exchange of gases takes place between the cells and the blood. And the blood in the capillaries becomes deoxygenated, and then these capillaries join to form veins, which you will study after some time. So here what happens, the blood has become oxygenated in the capillaries. Now these capillaries rejoin, and they form 4 veins, and 2 veins from one lung and 2 veins from other lung. They are called as pulmonary veins, and these 4 veins open on the left auricle, and they bring oxygenated blood, and left side contains oxygenated blood. Now the left auricle will contract, the blood will be under pressure, the valve will open, which is present at the juncture of auricle and the ventricle, and the oxygenated blood will move to the ventricle. The ventricle will contract, and then the oxygenated blood will move to the aorta. I told you from the left ventricle arises the main blood vessel of the heart, which is called as aorta. So when the ventricle will contract, the oxygenated blood will go to the aorta. Aorta is a very big thick artery. Now a single aorta cannot run at each and every corner of your body. So this aorta contains oxygenated blood. Now the aorta, it will divide into many arteries. Children, for the image you can see in the document also, okay? Just whatever I am saying, hear it and see the document, then you will understand better. Now this big aorta, it cannot reach each and every part or cell of the body, and our cells need oxygen for respiration. So this aorta divides into many arteries, and each artery go into respective organ. Means one will go in kidney, one will go some will go in kidney, some will in stomach, some will go in brain, some will go in eye, like that. Because aorta cannot go, means in stomach also, heart also, stomach also, kidney also. So what happens? It divides first into arteries, and each artery goes to different organs. Now what happens? arteries goes into different organs. So what is present in this artery? Oxygenated blood is present. The blood that contains more of oxygen and less of carbon dioxide. Now in the organ, you know what our body, it's just a cluster of cells. Everywhere there are cells. Now in the arteries, in the organs, the arteries are there because aorta divides into arteries. These arteries carries oxygenated blood. Now, the cells contain food and cells need oxygen for respiration, and that oxygen is present in the blood in the form of oxyhemoglobin. Now, what happens in the organs? These arteries. Now, what happens? The cells, they need oxygen. So oxygen has to be supplied to the cells. So means now exchange of gases needs to take place. So for that purpose, arteries in the organ divides into many capillaries. Okay, you can see the figure also, image which is given. Okay, so in the organ, the arteries divide into fine blood vessels called capillaries and form a network around the cells. Now, the oxygen, since in the cells the oxygen is less, but in the blood present in the capillary, the oxygen is more. So the oxygen from the capillaries will go to the cells. Already in the cells food is present, so oxidation of food take place. What will be given out? Carbon dioxide, water and energy. This carbon dioxide is a waste gas, and moreover the concentration of carbon dioxide is more in cells now as compared to the blood which is present in the capillaries. So now the carbon dioxide, because aspiration has taken place and the energy release is stored in the form of ATP, and the carbon dioxide is a waste gas which needs to be removed from our body. So, and the concentration of carbon dioxide is more in the cells. So the carbon dioxide from the cells will move from the higher concentration which is in the cells to the blood present in the capillaries, where the amount of or the concentration of carbon dioxide is less. Now the blood present in the capillaries will become deoxygenated. Means why? Because the oxygen of the blood has gone to the cells and now they contain more of carbon dioxide, so the blood will become deoxygenated. And what did I say you in the beginning? The capillaries, they join to form veins. Okay, and veins contain deoxygenated blood. Now these capillaries will join to form veins. Exception is there in the before I told you, when the pulmonary artery goes and forms the network, that is the exception. But generally this thing happens in all other parts wherever the exchange of gases has to take place, that arteries divide into capillaries, exchange of gases takes place in the capillaries, the blood becomes deoxygenated, and then these capillaries join to form veins. So same thing has happened here also. In the capillaries the blood has become deoxygenated and now all these capillaries join to form veins. And this vein will contain deoxygenated blood. That is why the color of the vein is blue. Now children, so many veins cannot enter in the heart. So veins, they come out from the organs, they join, rejoin, and they form two main blood vessels which contains the deoxygenated blood, and these two blood vessels open in the right side of the heart, which I told you earlier. And these two blood vessels which open in the right auricle, is bringing the deoxygenated blood. Now the process will be repeated. That deoxygenated blood will go to the ventricle. From the ventricle it will go to the pulmonary artery. Pulmonary artery will break into capillaries. Exchange of gases will take place. These capillaries will join to form veins. 4 pulmonary veins will open in the left auricle. From the left auricle it will go to the left ventricle. From left ventricle it will go to aorta. So the process will be repeated. So this is actually the working of the heart. This is how the exchange of gases takes place, or this is how the oxygen is supplied to the body cells and carbon dioxide is removed. Okay. Now students, we say that our is a double circulation. Double circulation. Why? Because 2 times it takes place. How? Anyone can say? Any one of you can answer. Now, how is this? The pulmonary artery takes blood from the heart to the lungs for oxygenation. After oxygenation, the blood again comes back to heart by pulmonary veins. So this is one type of circulation is taking place from heart to lungs, lungs to heart, heart to lungs, lungs to heart. Now since here the blood is from the heart, it is moving to lungs, from the lungs it is moving to heart, it is called as pulmonary circulation. What it is called? Pulmonary circulation. Another circulation is aorta carries the oxygenated blood from the heart to the body. Then after exchange of gases takes place between the cells where the carbon respiration has taken place. After that, the deoxygenated blood again comes back to the heart. So here the circulation is taking place between the heart and the body cells. The blood from the oxygenated blood from the heart goes to the body, and the deoxygenated blood is brought from the body to the heart. Heart to the body, body to the heart, it is brought. So this is another type of circulation which is called as systemic circulation. So these are the 2 types of circulation taking place in the heart. That is why it is called as double circulation. Even if you have books, you can just see figure 6.11 on page 106. Okay. Now children, the thing is this key is separation. The right and the left side of the heart is separated. Okay, in order to prevent mixing. Such a separation is very much important for those animals which need high amount of energy to maintain the body temperature. You know, warm-blooded animals. Warm-blooded animals are those animals, the temperature will remain same, that is 37 degrees centigrade. If outside the temperature will fall, their body temperature will remain same, that is 37 degrees centigrade. If outside temperature will increase, nothing is going to, their body temperature will not change. So that those are the warm-blooded animals where they maintain the constant body temperature. But that they do with a high, for that they need high amount of energy, and high amount of energy that is possible only if there is a continuous supply of oxygen. And that is possible when mixing of blood does not take place. If mixing of blood takes place, then what will happen? The blood will become deoxygenated, carbon dioxide may go more, so they will not get the oxygen. In cold-blooded animals, the animals whose body temperature depends on the environment. If the environment temperature changes, their body temperature changes. Such animals, they do not need a high amount of energy. So in these animals, the mixing of blood can take place. Have you understood, students? So like amphibians, reptiles, they have 3-chambered heart where the mixing of blood takes place. Okay, so if anyone has any question, can ask. So I have almost finished this transportation in humans. Blood vessels, I have already explained you. What are blood vessels? There are 3 types of blood vessels. I have also told you the differences between blood vessels. So now very little portion is left, which I will finish in the another 1 or 2 classes. But please revise whatever is taught to you and feel free to ask questions related to the topic.